So today we're going to be talking about what is defense physiology. Defense physiology is basically when your body goes into a state of fighting or flighting, okay? Your body doesn't know the difference between getting pulled over by the police officer or getting into a fight with your spouse or something that's freaking you out at work, like you might lose your job, or you're having to really perform and it's freaking you out. Basically, defense physiology is anything that is making you stressed out or is having you go into fear. It's fear mode, okay? And people respond to it differently. It's either fighting, flighting, or freezing. Some people also have the freeze response. The defense physiology really takes place, it plays out in your nervous system. So that's the primary place where defense physiology plays out. And what makes up the nervous system? It's the brain and the spinal cord. So I want you to come on over here and look at a picture of this. Okay, so here's your brain. And here's your spinal cord. That's what the bones of your spine house. And all the nerves that go out to all your organs and every single cell of your body. Okay, so when we're in defense, aka fight flight, our spinal cord actually stretches and the nerves to all the organs and tissues stretch. And this causes your body to function in a whole other form of physiology. So your body has basically two functions. So you're either in rest, digest, building mode, or you're in fight, flight, breakdown mode. And I'm going to be really talking to you about what these two modes are and how they're different. And I just wanted to show you this other really cool picture of what it looks like when your spinal cord is nice, and here's the spinal cord and the nerves that exit out, what it looks like when it's nice and relaxed, and this is what it looks like when it's really tense and stretching. Look at the blood vessels, they're so tight, versus look at how nice and plump the blood vessels are in the ease mode. So the tone, tension, shape, and position of your spinal cord and your spine determines what kind of tension you have in your life and how you deal with your life. So we're going to talk about now the two different physiological functions. I'm just going to really highlight the fight and flight, and I'm sure you can figure out for yourself what the ease and digest growth part of your body does. So when you're in fight and flight, so your body doesn't know the difference whether you're running away from the tiger, or you have the police officer pulling you over, or you have the test, or you need to impress someone, or you have a time deadline, or you might be losing your job. Body doesn't know the difference. So what happens? I'm going to be demonstrating it. So your body goes into a different posture. You're tensing up. Your blood goes from your internal organs to your arms and legs, and it's meant to make you basically be able to either fight or run away, okay? So what does that happen in your body when that happens? Your pupils dilate so you can see what's going on and take quick action. The blood goes to the back of your brain. This part of your brain is the reactionary part, so you can take quick action without thinking, okay? And what happens? Your muscles tense, your body goes into a forward position so you can sprint faster, your heart starts pumping faster so it can put oxygen in your muscles, you start sweating, your body's tense so it can take quick action, your breathing is faster so again you can oxygenate your muscles, your brain is only ready for action and reaction. Adrenaline is released, okay, and cortisol basically levels increase, which cause inflammation in your body long term. We'll talk about that. Liver pumps out glucose so you can have the energy to run away, and your digestion turns off, your immune function turns off, because are you going to be digesting when you're running away? I don't think so. Are you going to be having immune function when you're running away? That's a waste of energy, so that turns off. Are you going to have sexual reproductive function when you're trying to run away from the tiger? I don't think so, so that's going to turn off. And so what ends up happening is, in the long term, what happens when you don't have your immune function turned off? You get sick more, right? and your body isn't able to fight things like cancers as much, or different diseases. What else happens when your digestion turns off? You're not able to digest food, or you're not pooping regularly, or your body is unable to absorb the nutrients, or you end up getting inflammation and all the digestive issues that end up happening. What happens when sexual reproduction turns off? You're maybe unable to have children, or what happens is all sorts of uterine or testicular issues end up occurring. What happens when you've had elevated heart rate for 20 years? It turns into high blood pressure. What happens when your blood glucose levels are all over the place? It onset diabetes. What happens when your muscles are tense for 5 years? It's like you end up having all sorts of pains because your body's been tense. If you just tense up your muscle for 10 minutes, it starts to hurt. What happens if your body's in this physiology? Well, it's like your posture locks into that place. When cortisol is released, it causes inflammation. The number one predictor of heart disease is inflammation and high cortisol level. Are you going to be putting on weight? Yes, because if you're having all this crazy blood glucose level and all these stress hormones, you're actually going to put on weight. Are you going to be looking nice and young? No, because it's when you're in that stress mode for more than 20 minutes, your body starts to break things down, because it's breaking things down to actually be able to utilize it as energy. It's a good short-term strategy, just not so good as a long-term strategy. So then we end up getting all these injuries. Our body isn't able to repair like what happened when we got into the car accident, because it's busy dedicating all its energy towards fighting and flighting things. What else? So I talked about how the posture will go into a defense mode. What kind of emotions do you think you're going to be having when your body is locked into defense physiology? Are you going to be having happy emotions, or are you going to be more snappy at people? Are you going to be more patient, or are you going to be freaking out more? What happens when you're locked in this fight-flight physiology? How would you feel about yourself? Would you be maybe more irritable and irritated about yourself, or more reactionary? What kind of behaviors are you going to do? Are you going to be like thinking, or are you just going to be more reacting and maybe just like, you know, eating a whole bag of Doritos, or, you know, just basically not being so pleasant to be around, or just doing more destructive behaviors? So when you're in fight-flight physiology, it's meant to get you out of danger in 20 minutes. And then it's supposed to turn off, and we're supposed to go back to our normal, at ease, at rest function and physiology. But what happens in today's culture is it's just like one thing after the next thing after the next thing happens, and our fight-flight physiology never turns off. And that's the whole point of network care. And the beginning of care is we help you turn off that fight-flight physiology so your body can go back to the repair mode and heal mode and ease mode and breathe mode, and everything, your function of your body returns back to how it's supposed to function. Your emotions drop into like the restful place. How you feel about yourself, your behaviors become more rational. So that's fight-flight physiology in a nutshell.